You are welcome and wanted and not being annoying. Hello and welcome back to another video. I am going to be talking about how to survive a party as a socially anxious person, because we struggle a lot with interaction, communication with others, especially if we're looking for friends, which is something that parties are actually good for, to meet new people, because people at parties want to socialize. It's a social event, it happens all the time, it's a normal thing. Most people love going to parties because they're fun. I wouldn't say they're fun. I've been to 2 this month, my first ever 2 real high school parties, and probably my last. But I managed to get through them, so hopefully some of these tips can help you. Plus, if it's at the beginning of something, like at the beginning of a school year, it helps to familiarize yourself with the people who you're going to be around, so it's kind of like taking one extra step to feel more comfortable later. But if the party is at the end of something, like the end of a school year, or it's like a summer barbecue, then it might be less pressure on you because you kind of already know the people, I would assume. It's more of a chill event if it's nearing the end of something, but beginnings, there can be more pressure because you want to try to immerse yourself into social circles if you can. The earlier the better. So if it's possible, you might want to start going to smaller parties to kind of warm yourselves up, like little get-togethers, more like hanging out with a bigger group of friends, like 5 people, 10 people, or people you're already more comfortable with, a group of people with similar interests. For the first party I went to, I showed up late. In the second one, I showed up early. Arrival times can be confusing, and same with other things that people just already know and it's obvious to them. It can be confusing for people like us with social anxiety. We don't know the social rules, okay? People don't typically come to parties early, especially if it's young adults, teenager-y kind of age range. If late's probably better. It's supposed to be casual, so if it's early then you're too ready, I don't know. But if you come earlier, after the start time by a little bit, or right on time, it can be less intimidating because there will be less people around, so you can kind of talk to the few people that are there, which is likely easier than trying to push yourself into a big group once everything's all already going. But if you come later, it's more natural and normal, really. You're not really forced to interact with anyone right away. You can kind of scope out the scene because no one's really paying any attention to you. Of course, it depends on how big the party is. Another thing, you should dress the part. It depends what kind of party it is, again, how chill it is, what the weather's like, what your style is. It's important to be yourself and put a little bit of that into your clothing, especially if you want to make a good first impression. It's usually casual, jeans and a t-shirt, but it might be semi-formal, depending on the type of party, or maybe it's a costume party, so showing up without a costume would be really out of place and you'd feel more awkward than if you just wore a costume to begin with. But also don't stress about it too much. I made the mistake of trying to find the perfect everything just because I didn't want anything to be off and I was afraid to be judged, even though I'm not really afraid to be judged. But socially anxious people, that's kind of why we're anxious, because we don't want the attention on us, but we want to blend in enough, so it has to be just right, I'm sure the less you try, the more natural it'll look. And of course you should ask the host if you're unsure about the dress code, or if you need to bring anything. It could kind of be a potluck, so you could bring some chips or pop or whatever to kind of chip in. Or you can ask friends or people you know who are going instead of asking the host. Oh, and also, sometimes with a lot of parties, if it's over the legal age, or even teenager parties, a lot of the time, it's bring your own beer, BYOB. Bring the alcoholic beverages you want to consume. I feel that's kind of obvious. I don't drink, so I don't know if I should say that or not. I don't know. But regardless of whether or not it's supposed to be bring your own whatever, it benefits you if you bring something that you know you're gonna enjoy. You should bring a drink because you have something to hold in your hand and something to do. Personally, I like to fidget with things, and I didn't really notice that too much until I went to my first party, but I know that I always need to have something in my hands. It calms my anxiety. It makes you look casual even if you're not trying, rather than just twiddling your thumbs or playing with your clothes. Not that there's anything wrong with being anxious. It's not like people don't like anxious people. It's not what I'm saying. It allows you to be more comfortable, makes you easier to approach. Here's all the super stereotypical reasons why it's great. The more you drink, the more you have to pee, which means the more you have to hide away from people for a minute, go to the bathroom. As you're drinking, you can't talk to people. It's good for pauses in conversations or any awkward moments. Go to parties mostly to eat, drink, and talk to people. Also, you should carry it around with you at all times, as with any of your belongings. Oh, and also you could bring like a Sharpie if you want to write your name on it in case you like put it down for a hot second and you can't remember like which red cup is yours because there's like 80 of them on the table. Bring a smaller like purse or bag or whatever so no one steals anything, and so you always have it with you, so like when in doubt you have something to do, or like look through your purse or look on your phone, you know. So as I was saying, you should keep yourself busy. It doesn't just have to be with a drink. It's super stereotypical that like, you know, socially anxious person always hangs out with like the cat in the corner, but it gives you something to do, and I don't know how to emphasize how important it is. I don't know why it helps, but it helps, okay? Trust me, give yourself a purpose. Because then you're not just sitting there waiting for something to happen or someone to talk to, and you're not stressing yourself out. I don't personally like doing things necessarily because I feel like I might do them wrong, but like it doesn't matter. Like I just need something to do. I don't know, if you can explain why keeping yourself busy helps in the comments, then that would be great, because apparently I can't very well. Physically getting up and moving seems like a challenge, at least for me. Like I feel overwhelmed by all the people and all the noise and everything, so I feel like I'm just kind of frozen, like I can't move and I don't want to move and I don't want to do anything and I don't want to be here and I don't know why I decided to come. Figuring out how you are going to leave is also important, especially if you are drinking or doing drugs. You need to have a plan in place, essentially. Also just doing other things like being kind, or if you don't drink or do drugs or anything and you want to be the designated driver, or even just helping people find safe rides, being concerned for them, might help you become friends with them because they appreciate the help and they're like, oh, I should probably do something in return. People appreciate your help and people love you, especially when they're drunk, but it's great because they mean it. Honestly though, the parties I went to like kind of shattered my vision of expectations versus reality. There's no social hierarchy or like the popular people, or like there might be vague stereotypes, but people are pretty individualistic. It was just a lot more casual than I thought it would be. Like there were some drunk people being dumb, but overall it's just people talking about dumb things. And because they're so casual, it allows you to float in and out of groups. A lot of the times there'll be a few people like in a little circle kind of standing and talking to each other, and then they'll go somewhere else, so then you'll have to find somewhere else to like merge in, which is fine. Like, you are welcome and wanted and not being annoying. Helpful advice from my friend. I'll try to put in a quick little story time here. I always feel like I'm being annoying at parties, or if I'm anxious and kind of trying to follow people around because like I don't really know what I'm doing or where to go. Or throwback to the jelly bean dance. I was like 11 or something. It was a little party thing for our community. I was with my friend at the time who apparently didn't want anything to do with me because like she kept trying to like run away from me, so I'd like get lost and like leave her alone without telling me. She's like, stop following me, and I just felt awkward and then just kind of sat in the corner. From then on I've kind of felt like I'm always being annoying. So when I got to my first party and I was anxious and I saw the people and I didn't feel like merging myself into anything because I'm like, oh, people are already doing their thing. I was just kind of sitting in a chair in the corner, low-key, and my friend came up to me and I addressed my concerns. I'm like, I feel like I'm annoying, like you don't have to keep checking up on me. I'll just sit here, it's fine. I don't want to leave, but I don't want to like go do anything, you know. You don't have to do this, like it's okay, you can leave me alone, kind of. Like I didn't want to be left alone, but like, you know. She eventually convinced me to like, you know, like get up, like people want to talk to you. You are nice, you are lovely, everyone loves you and wants to hear more from you. Kind of told me that like people were excited that I was coming and it made me feel really good, and that's true for like any party, honestly. Like you're a person there, you have every right to be there. If it was just a friend group, then you wouldn't have been invited or allowed to come, you know? So if you're allowed to come, then don't assume that nobody wants to talk to you, because parties are for socializing. So she gave me a nice pep talk and then helped kind of merge me into some people. It's also good though if you yourself can look for openings in like a circle, like if it's like a half circle. You don't even have to like announce your presence or anything, you can just hang around. Greet in some way people you know, so it's like a little connection. People who might be standing alone or be good ones to approach because they're probably in the same boat as you, so like, you know, you can talk about how like, oh, I'm not really good at parties, see you sitting over here, so I thought I'd come join because I'm low-key stressed, and they'll probably be like, yeah, same, or I was just taking a break, or you're welcome to sit down, you know? Sometimes a few people rather than like 10 at a time is helpful, but also it might be more comfortable on you if you do join a larger group because there's less attention on you. A lot of the times they're not paying any attention to you, like literally at all, which might sound terrible, but it's a good way for you to like get in there, and then you can say something when there's a break in the conversation or just add to something or whenever. So when you first get there, you might feel anxious and like you shouldn't have come, and the whole social interaction thing is not for you with a big bunch of people. However, I felt that also for both my parties. The first one, it was like my 10 minutes of sitting in the chair, almost gonna cry in the corner until, you know, my friend came and like pep talked me all up. But eventually, once I started talking to people and realized it was casual and that people actually like didn't hate me, they were like accepting of me once I realized how non-judgmental everyone was, or at least how nice and friendly they seemed, I was a lot more comfortable because I had let all the like pressure to be a certain way go. Being yourself is fine. So like don't close yourself off entirely, even though when you are anxious at the time, the last thing you want to do is hold a conversation, make eye contact with people, and be cash. Like how hard is it to pretend? I know, I get it. You can just start off slowly by like adding little bits to conversations, or like, you know, showing your face, like saying hey to some people. If you have something to say on the topic, it's a good thing to say. Any talk is good talk when you're socially anxious. Getting it out is the first step. Like, open up your body, don't scrunch up into like a tiny ball if you're sitting on the floor or something. Like sit out nice, flat, and open. You deserve to take up as much space as you need. You want to look friendly and like you want people to come talk to you, so you're not like closing yourself off. Like you'll seem more approachable. Everyone's lame, everyone's awkward. No one's ever really cool, and if they are, then like you're at the wrong party, because, you know, being cool is not cool. People are like drunk and high, like they're not gonna remember anything. So you can basically say whatever you want and let the pressure on yourself like drop. Like you don't have to stress so much because you won't be judged. Kind of made me sad, like, oh, you're not gonna remember anything I have to contribute, so why contribute at all? But you're contributing more for yourself than for other people. You're trying to put yourself out there in more ways than one. A lot of people seem to rely on alcohol to bring them out of their comfort zone because you just kind of want to have fun and don't care about anything. I don't know from personal experience. I would advise you, especially if you're socially anxious, not to overdo it, or like rely on it to get you out of your comfort zone, because you don't really learn the social skills that you need. If it helps you, that's great, but make sure you know your limits. A lot of people do it, so it's not like you wouldn't fit in if you didn't. However, never do it because of peer pressure. Like, you don't need to. A lot of people don't care if you do or if you don't. It's your choice, obviously. It's good to take breaks and distance yourself like from the social situation, so then you can go back into it with a fresher mind, calm your anxiety down a bit. Bathrooms are great. Always know where the bathrooms are. Splash some water on your face, presuming you don't have makeup on. Or even just like a cool cloth or something if you feel like you're getting anxious at a party, having a panic attack. Even just like going on your phone, like sitting down for a minute. Taking breaks is helpful because it splits up the time you have. Like, you have to be at this party for 3 hours or however long, whatever. It kind of splits it up into easier, more manageable sections. So even if you say like, okay, I'll sit here and talk to this person for like 10 minutes and then I'll go do something else. So then it just doesn't feel like it's overwhelming and you have to like stay there forever. I would say leaving a party early is best. It's important not to overdo it on your first one, because if you get exhausted like halfway through and all your social energy's gone, then that might be what you remember. Like, the goal is hopefully not for you to continue avoiding it. It's so you go to more parties and get more comfortable. It kind of keeps you wanting more, like, even if you are enjoying yourself and then you leave. If you can, I mean, there's social media and stuff, which is probably better than like asking for people's numbers, so try to keep in contact with some of the people you meet or have conversations with. It's really good for like a beginning sort of thing, like if it's the beginning of the school year or whatever, because then it can kind of initiate some more friendship or depth. Or like maybe you can just ask people like, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, I'm trying to, you know, enlarge my social circle. If you have any idea how to continue talking to people after a party, that would be really helpful. If you could comment that below, that would be great. This kind of brings me to the end of my video. This is pretty much all the tips I have. Hopefully this was helpful, but I don't know. If you could comment below if this like helped you in any way, or maybe share this with some of your socially anxious introvert friends. Also comment any tips you might have, other tips for parties, what you do at parties, what's your go-to. I would like to know. I'm still a beginner. I've been to 2 parties, not 27. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye. I'm so sorry if my shirt looked terrible this whole time. It's a weird shirt. It has weird sleeves. I don't know how to wear this properly. I'm sorry. Arms open, legs open. It's kind of legs open. God, no.